Mabuhay, everyone. I am Reverend Reg, and today is March 5, 2021, and it's 16 minutes past 9 p.m. in Manila, Philippine time. So, good morning to my friends in other parts of the globe. Good afternoon to the rest, and good evening to those of you who are experiencing evening and nighttime in your area. So, today I was supposed to have a guest and because he has to attend to more important and urgent family matters, we decided that it's best to postpone the interview next week. And I trust that all of you will still tune in for next week. So I was praying what will be our alternative to the interview. So today I just feel called to talk about one of the chapters of Dr. Paul Leon Master's work. He's the founder of University of Metaphysics, the International Metaphysical Ministry, and the University of Sedona. So, I just want to share with all of you when it comes to metaphysics, the law of attraction, and how to demonstrate whatever it is that you'd like to demonstrate, whether it's an idea level that will expand your inner peace or the joy that you have right now, or maybe you're not even feeling joyful and you want to feel that way. So, those are the things that Dr. Paul Leon Masters talk about in terms of prosperity because I feel called to talk about one of the chapters in his bachelor's degree course, which is attracting and maintaining prosperity. So, before I proceed, I also want to give everybody a heads up that when we talk about metaphysics, the law of attraction, science, and spirituality, is there really a spiritual basis for whatever material or worldly success that we talk about? Because every now and then, when it comes to the subject of manifesting success, manifesting a partner, making breakthroughs in whatever area of our lives that we have, prosperity, and how to attract it, how to maintain it, it's still an ongoing question. Everywhere I go, people will ask for manifesting techniques. And because beyond metaphysics, I also study other modalities and other meditation practices. Because in University of Metaphysics, one of the big focus really is on mystical meditation by Dr. Paul Masters. But in my other groups, there's a different kind of meditation. It can be Kundalini Yoga and the meditation that you do with it, and also for heart breathing, heart focused, synchronized meditations, and many other types of meditation. And personally, for me, I have created my own, which I call functional meditation, because I just find that there are so many meditation techniques that we can all learn from. In fact, a friend of mine, Jennifer Cahill, invited about 108 leaders, I think, or maybe 52 leaders. I'm not really sure, but she came up with the Coalition for Global Unity so that people can actually enjoy the variety of meditation techniques that we can all use. So if you're feeling that you can use that particular technique for that day or that moment, then you just have a variety of meditation tools that you can use. So anyway, I'm talking about meditation because one of the best ways to vibrate and radiate your particular intention when it comes to attracting and maintaining prosperity, because prosperity for us in metaphysics is actually a very wide topic. So when we talk about metaphysics, one of the things that Dr. Paul Leon Masters discusses about it is that it is a state of mind. So a lot of times, especially a couple of years ago, I didn't really think of prosperity as a state of mind. Just like everybody, when you talk about prosperity, my instinct was to think about it in the material sense. I never thought of it as something that was a component of the spiritual realm. So it was so amazing to me that Dr. Paul Guillaume Masters talks about metaphysics this way, because part of the thing that he discussed, actually, let me read it to all of you because you might find the inspiration from his talk, or his lesson rather. Some people may have a few $1,000s in the bank and consider themselves prosperous, while others may possess $1 million and feel they have not achieved success. Prosperity is not only financial, it also includes love, health, and happiness. Experiencing one of these elements without the others is not true prosperity. So, prosperity is usually thought of only in terms of finances, but such thinking is erroneous. The mind must experience wealth in all areas. So, I want to share with everyone that as a student and alumni of University of Metaphysics, this particular topic keeps becoming part of an almost daily discussion, because a lot of people actually have to address whatever personal or professional concerns that they have at the moment. And personally, for me, I think it's one of the most important things that we have to talk about with ease and with grace, because apparently every time a prosperity topic is being talked about, a lot of us, we experience raised eyebrows from friends or family members or even colleagues, especially when you talk about using the power of words and using meditation as a way to actually bring yourself into alignment of prosperity in the manner that Dr. Paul Masters discussed it. So for us, actually, when you talk about wealth and you're not physically healthy or you don't have inner peace, that's not prosperity and wealth at all. So it has to come together with you feeling healthy in mind, body, and affairs. And then at the same time, in terms of wealth, there's a flow that you're actually experiencing. So, personally, for me, one of the benefits that I got from this is having that feeling of richness and fullness. And it's not like you have an abundance of material things or a pile of cash immediately on the floor, but that's also possible. You can open yourself up to it. I will also be open and receptive to that possibility. But what we're talking about here is that your wealth adds value to your life, it adds to your inner peace, and it also makes you feel joyful. Because over time, if you're just thinking of prosperity coming from your pure hard work, and you don't realize that God is actually the provider of your spiritual and material wealth, it's so easy to take things for granted. And most often than not, a lot of our challenges stem from not being able to see and not being able to appreciate what actually comes to our experience. You know, when I was a lot younger, every time a particular plan will get canceled, I feel very irritated about it, because you know how you set your mind into something and it doesn't go as planned. So I get really disappointed when things like that happen. But as I matured, especially when I started taking classes in University of Metaphysics and other similar groups, one of the things that I began to ask in the moment when things don't go on as planned is, what is the gift of this moment that I should recognize? Because every time there's a particular situation in our lives and it doesn't happen the way you want it, you have to find the beauty of the moment, because that's the way we will be able to string things together. And it reminds me of one of my idols, Steve Jobs. He said, "You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backward. So, although at present, you don't really recognize the gift in the moment, and probably it triggers your buttons, or, things that you were expecting to happen in any area of your life and it doesn't push through. But you know that you live, move, and have your being and infinite intelligence, and that infinite intelligence always has the highest and best reason for making things happen in the moment. Then it's a lot easier to change why did this happen to me, and use the question, what is the gift that this moment is actually revealing to me? Because I realized over time, as I began to experience those things, and became more consistent with that kind of question in my head, so many things were actually revealed to me, especially in terms of realizing for myself, was I really ready for what I was trying to demonstrate in my life? Maybe I'm not ready at that time. And naturally, in the moment, you don't say that to yourself because somehow there's a part of you that you feel that you're so ready for it. But the fact that it's not even happening yet, it's a confirmation that somewhere along the way, things need to get adjusted. Either you have to adjust, or the people involved need to adjust, or certain variables in that particular circumstance needs to adjust. So it's so important because when you realize that the thing that you're actually working on is working out even better that you can ever conceive for yourself, then a lot of unexpected blessings arise from that particular experience. And my many years of pondering what was happening to me, especially, I'm a self imposed researcher even before I delved into other things that will create long term research projects for me. I always ask myself, why is this happening to me? What's the gift to learn in this moment? And when I began to ask questions like that, then answers that revealed to me what I needed to adjust. A lot of times, I have to be honest, it's my attitude that I needed to adjust. Especially one of the things that my friend EY and I talked about last Saturday when she guested on the show was that, when you come from a middle class family in the Philippines, and most middle class families, we have our helpers and a lot of the household chores they do for us. And then when I moved out of the family home, one of the things that I realized was I got better career breaks when I left the family home. I was able to maximize the time I have in the apartment, being able to utilize all my creative talents and abilities. I was able to accomplish a lot of projects that I never thought possible in the past. So I'm bringing that up because there are many things in your life that's going to change. You have to change your vibration in order for whatever prosperity to demonstrate in your life. Because as Dr. Masters was saying, it's a state of mind. And if you are feeling inner peace, if you're able to sleep very soundly at night because of your choices, I think it's one of the best. For me, it's really one of the best ways to gauge if you're feeling prosperous, if you have that kind of mental space where you feel that prosperity. Because one of the best things that Dr. Masters was sharing to all his students is that it's not really about working very, very hard to demonstrate what you want, but it's about aligning yourself to the kind of prosperity that you would like to experience. So, another thing that I want to bring up is what Dr. Master said. To have a mental attitude that works for financial prosperity, we should think of ourselves as also being prosperous in peace, love, wisdom, health. Only then does the mind completely accept the abundance that life has to offer. So, right now, I'm also finishing another book. It's called Harvest. And one of the things that I recommend that my readers do is to devote the first hour of their morning into what I call the awesome hour. Because I have this habit every time I wake up, I clap my hand and then affirm it to myself. Good morning. It's an awesome day. I choose to make it so. Good morning. It's an awesome day. I choose to make it so. Good morning. It's an awesome day. I choose to make it so. And then I would either take a bath or exercise or take the time to write notes or read out loud whatever it is that I'm intending to accomplish. And I also love cold showers. So there are many things that I do in the morning to prepare me for the rest of the day and how I want it to be. Because for you to feel abundance in the different aspects, like what Dr. Masters was saying, there has to be a conscious participation from your end to actually program yourself. So we're not just living our lives on autopilot, because most of the time, whatever it is that we were exposed to the night before, many years ago, it just replays in our personal or professional experience, because we really haven't taken the time to reprogram ourselves, especially if we have experienced a lot of setbacks in the past. So I want to talk about it because one of the things that got me into personal growth courses, metaphysics, energy healing, and other things that are related to this is the fact that many years ago I would work very, very hard for my goals, but I wasn't really demonstrating the kind of outcome that I wanted for myself. So I was thinking to myself, is this all there is to my life? Is it always going to be this hard? Is it always going to be. Because for me, it doesn't really matter if I exert myself in a particular goal. What really makes it difficult is you not feeling that it's worth all the trouble or all the effort that you put yourself into. Because I noticed for myself, it doesn't matter if I exert myself in a particular work, in a particular project, as long as I feel very fulfilled about it. And, you know, every time I would watch my favorite athletes play whatever sport that they're into, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo for soccer, Michael Jordan for basketball, David Beckham for soccer as well, they would train very, very hard for their sport. And then many times during the event or during trainings, they would cry because of the level of intensity that they have devoted themselves to their particular sport. And then only to find out that sometimes you're not in the zone where you actually want it to unfold. So for me, being prosperous is also feeling that your resources, spiritually and materially, whether that's effort and time and the wisdom and the talent and then the material resources, it can be money or whatever resource that you have, was actually put to a worthy cause. So I'm not really sure what that is for you, but for example, for me, I really love talking about metaphysics, and I have devoted practically my whole life, my entire adult life into this. And although I had a lot of time spent on many books growing up, I didn't realize that all the books that I read and all the questions that I had in my head growing up, they were all related to metaphysics, Of course, when I was a lot younger, I didn't even know that there was such a term called metaphysics. I only found out about it, that there was an official term for it, when I was already studying it officially through different courses. So I'm sharing that because it just made perfect sense to me that even if I have to work long hours for something that I was really passionate about, it made me feel what Dr. Masters was saying, that prosperity is a state of mind. Because finally, when you feel that you're being purposeful and that your life has meaning, whatever form of pressure that comes along the way, you actually find yourself enjoying it, and you begin to see the humor in things not working out the way you want it. I don't know how that appeals to you, but so far I noticed that my feeling joyful, my feeling fulfilled, the sense of humor that's coming out of the experience that happens to me every day, I just find it so effortless right now, because I know that I have worked with devotion towards getting my time and space filled with things that truly matter to me. So I want to ask you before I proceed to the next, are you in that mental space where you feel that the different areas of your life is actually cultivated wisely? Do you feel that your spiritual resources are enriched by the way you manage your time and your space? And are you also emotionally satisfied? Are you soul fulfilled in terms of the way you are managing and circulating your material resources? Because those are important questions for you to address on your own, so that you know that you have what Dr. Masters is saying, that prosperity is a state of mind, and you have to feel prosperous in the different areas of your life. So here, Dr. Masters was also saying you have to be in the space where you have the right mental attitude that attracts and maintains prosperity. And I want to share with everyone what he said about it. The right mental attitude is one of continual expectancy, a state of mind that is always open to new ideas, inspirations, and intuition flowing from the higher God mind within us. So, for example, I realized that the past year and this year, I started a lot of projects that just really came out of intuitive guidance. This show perspective, for example, actually came to be because during the lockdown, I had a show called Goals with Reverend Red Show, and then there was a lockdown in the Philippines for a couple of months. And at that time, I was working with Wow Very Good Live, and we wanted to share valuable, useful, relevant information to our audience. So we would meditate every day for over 100 days. And naturally, a lot of people were asking what happened to the show, why all of a sudden are we meditating. So a lot of other questions actually came to be because of that experience. So one of the things that Dr. Masters was saying, do you have that kind of attitude where you have that continual expectancy that if you're given a particular idea, you're going to receive some more information? Because so many of us, we do not allow ourselves to move forward with a particular project. Especially, I see this with a lot of people. They get so excited writing a book, starting a podcast, or they have a dream that they would like to fulfill, but they don't really push themselves to make it happen. Why? Because they feel that if they get started, then what's next? But you see, what happens is you put yourself in that space first. You do what you can in the moment, and then you utilize all the resources available to you in terms of your creative mind and all the material resources that are available to you. And then new ideas will actually come to pass. But if you haven't really made any effort to actually utilize what's available to you in the moment, it's so difficult to receive new ideas. And right now, I have Amani. Hello there, Satnam, and Salam Alaikum as well, because I know that you're in a Muslim area. Ramadan Kareem, I trust that you're having fun. I'm just sharing what Dr. Masters discussed in Attracting and Maintaining Prosperity in case you're not able to, uh, you weren't able to listen to the introduction. So many of us, when we get into that particular space, we get so self-conscious that we think we're gonna run out of ideas. But in truth, the more you express that particular idea, whether you are a painter or a composer, a songwriter, a content creator for videos, the more that you are utilizing whatever is available to you right now, all the more that your creative mind will be enriched and will be cultivated, and more will actually come to you. And that's just the way it is. You have to expect that new ideas will actually come to pass in order for that infinite intelligence to express through you. Because one of the discussions of Dr. Paul Leon Masters is realizing that a loving God provides for us. Therefore, it is spiritual to be prosperous. So, another thing that I also want to share with everyone is it is a state of mind that always knows that God, as the manifesting universe, is our only true source of supply and prosperity. So it's very, very important to realize that, because many times this particular space where we feel that we would like to feel more joyful, we would like to feel more enriched by the experience, we would like to feel more fulfilled. All those things will only come to pass if we acknowledge that God's power and presence is the one that's supplying us all of that. And I'm very sure that for those people who experience their oneness with that infinite intelligence, maybe something happened in your life and then all of a sudden it makes sense to you now why things had to happen, or suddenly you just feel so connected to the rest of the universe. And in fact, one of the things a client of mine mentioned to me before, you know, one time I was just in the garden and then I was just dwelling on the beauty of the space around me, and I felt so connected to source. And it's that kind of feeling of fullness. That's why it's no wonder that a lot of us, we like visiting art galleries, we like listening to amazing music. And why? Because all those things are manifestations of the presence of God. The beauty of those, of that music, of that particular artwork, or whatever it is that actually elevates your experience. It's a manifestation of God as a source of your prosperity. You get that feeling of inspiration, fulfillment, richness, and that feeling abundant because of you feeling connected to the beauty of the universe. And that's why I always tell myself every morning, good morning, it's an awesome day. I choose to make it so because they say that the word awesome, it really came to be because people were in awe of their surroundings, and that God, power and presence, infinite intelligence, higher consciousness, the beauty of the universe, whatever that is for you, the word awesome came to be because the writer of it felt that there was just a heightened sense of joy, a heightened sense of feeling wonderful, feeling really good and joyful about that particular moment. So that's how it came to be. And I'm not sure if many of you resonate with it, but every day I want to feel that way because I noticed for myself that I feel so energy depleted when I don't feel inspired. Because you can be in the middle of a challenging situation but still feel inspired. So whatever particular challenge you're experiencing, you can cry about it out of feeling a healthy stress about the situation, but it's all good collectively when you sum it all up. And another thing that I want to share about what Dr. Masters mentioned, it is a state of mind that finds peace in these truths, and that peace, the mind is made clear with new inspiration leading to greater prosperity. So, like I mentioned earlier, when you feel that inner guidance where or intuition that we're talking about here, you get a particular idea, you act on it, you apply it, and then a new idea comes along. So all those things will actually come to pass with ease and grace. And I remember there was a time when I didn't have all the necessary gadgets that I needed for the show. And then I was just telling myself, you know what? I think if I have a new luggage, I will be able to demonstrate money to purchase all the needful things for the program. So I just decided to get the luggage. And then all of a sudden, there was news that I was going to receive all the needful things because someone was going to sponsor it. So those things that we're talking about, even if you think it's just a little idea, but you have to put that idea into action because as you are able to constantly act, you're also able to constantly attract. And you know what? I've had so many experiences in my life where I'm just this excited, enthusiastic reader about all the things that I was learning in metaphysics. So one time, the guidance to me was to go to a particular marketing training in the Philippines, and it was a bit costly. But one of the suggestions of the author at that time, Robert Collier, he was saying, you know what? You just have to make sure that every day you're actually dressing your best and that you're willing to leave the house because there's a greater possibility of something good for you to attract if you decide to actually go out. So, practicing what I learned from his book, I decided to dress as prosperous as I can possibly do in business attire to go to that particular event. And then I was just telling myself, you know what, if I go to the event, maybe somehow along the way I'm gonna attract something because I'm so willing to grow and to learn and to attract. But then halfway through me riding the bus to the event, I realized, wait a minute, I think I have to pause here in this mall because the cost of the event is $50 for me to go there, and my cash was just enough for me stop in the middle of the stop in the middle of the road. So I decided to go down the train station and then I went to the mall and then I paused. And then I was telling myself, you know what? Something has to happen today because I'm already decided that I'm going to be in that space of openness and receptivity. So I went to the coffee shop and then I was seated in one of the tables and chairs, of course. And then I was just observing everyone. And then I heard a guy and he was saying, you know what? I'm looking for some actor and I need actors. So if you know anyone, just let me know. And then what I did was I came over to him, I introduced myself, I told him my name and what I do for a living. I'm an energy healer. My name is Reg. And then I told him, you know what? I overheard you talking about you needing an actor for a particular play. I have some friends and clients who are actors. You might be interested. And then he got so curious about what I had to offer. So he said, you know what? I know energy healers need an energy exchange. So he said, I'm just going to get something for you downstairs. So he got me coffee. And then in the middle of me waiting for him, one of my clients sent me a message that, she just sent me money for the session that we had a week before that. So many things happened to me where a lot of the breakthroughs that I had was because I was daring enough to actually practice the particular suggestion. I think it's such a boring way to read a book when you're not thoroughly experiencing the lesson. And my mind is always enjoying the research aspect of applying the principle. Every time I read a book or attend a particular class and then a teacher will say something or an author will make a suggestion, my creative mind is so excited to be in that adventure mode and apply what I learned. And so many things actually happened to me just because of me being willing to take action constantly. And you just really have to be in that space where you're receptive and constantly expecting the best. Because one time, another thing that I learned from an author last year was to ask, how can things get any better for me? So I was so excited because there are many times when we read the book and you feel that you have to finish everything. But now I'm more into reading the book, understanding it, and then taking action immediately. And normally, by practice, it has been a tradition for us to, whatever form of income that we receive, first and foremost, we keep our covenant, we give back to the source of our spiritual nourishment. And then the next is, just find something to do for yourself so that you can feel in a celebratory atmosphere. And then the third is you do things for everybody else. So anyway, I added a fourth step to that. And that fourth step was, how can things get any better than this? Something like that. And so what I did was when the lockdown was just lifted in the Philippines, I went to one of these restaurants where I usually have my comfort food. And so I ordered it. And what happened was when they sent me the order, I was so surprised because there was something that wasn't very pleasing to me. So I called the attention of the manager and I showed the manager what I did find pleasing. And then what she did was to take the plate back and then she went back to the kitchen. So I was thinking they were just going to replace whatever wasn't very desirable in my plate. But what the manager did was to actually replace the whole thing and then give me an extra dessert that was amazing. So instead of paying about $7 for it, what happened was I was able to get $14 worth of meal just because I added a fourth step to that practice. So, this has to be in that mode where you feel that you're in that mental space where you're applying something, but you know that even if you're applying something, you're still open and receptive to something more, something even better, something more fulfilling, something more joyous. And if you just allow yourself to actually consistently ask, what's the gift in the moment? How can this be a joyful experience for me? Then, even if the situation looks very upsetting in the moment, but you decide to shift your energy because you're changing your perspective, you're also shifting your reality. And another thing that Dr. Masters was saying, prosperity is a state of soul. It is a state of mind. It is a state of soul where when we meditate, we are filled with the presence of our higher God being. This inner state of oneness enforces the conscious state of mind and mental attitude as we go about the daily business of living. So I want to emphasize that, especially for my co Filipinos. When you're here in the Philippines, for my foreigner friends, we still find the God topic a very acceptable topic to discuss with each other. A lot of my friends, they still find solace in discussing about God, because I noticed for my other friends in other parts of the globe, it's actually a topic that people are very careful about discussing for fear that they might sound so preachy about it. But anyway, I'm glad that I grew up in the space where it's not a taboo to talk about it, because I realized one of the biggest causes of stress for a lot of people is thinking that they have to do everything by themselves, because apparently they've only been conditioned to think about the subconscious aspect of the minds that needs to be constantly reprogrammed. And if it's not reprogrammed and things are not working out, people take it upon themselves to do everything, and they feel so bad and they're not able to move on as quickly. But in the Philippines, when we have done our best as far as everything that we have in our space, for example, we know that as far as our creative potential has been enforced in a particular project, and it doesn't turn out as beautifully as we want it to be. And at the same time, if we know that there's a situation where we really want it to be solved immediately, but you're just not in that space to actually bring that outcome, when you have that concept of God, Almighty, higher power, whatever it is for you, when you believe in that higher power, for me, I feel so comfortable using the word Almighty, then you're able to easily relax and let go, and then just allow yourself to ask, what's next? I noticed that a lot of people get into depression needlessly because people have only been programmed that there's only a conscious level of the mind and the subconscious aspect of themselves. And to them, if things don't work out because of the subconscious level aspect of themselves not following through with the outcome they have in their rational minds, then they get so disappointed, they beat themselves up, and it's not a very empowered space to be. But when you realize that you have the super conscious aspect of you, what we call the higher consciousness, the subconscious aspect of you, and then the conscious level aspect of you, it's a lot easier to take the so called blows in life with more ease and more grace. In fact, this is also the reason why, although a lot of people think that the discussion of Charles Fillmore, Cora Fillmore, and Dr. Catherine Ponder on the 12 powers, a lot of people, they think it's such an old topic to talk about. But to me, I find great value in it, especially when you realize that one of the powers that they're talking about is the power for order, where you understand that this is your intention, but this is where you are right now. So if this is the intention that you have to match in terms of frequency, whatever it is that you need to adjust, is it your attitude, or maybe it's your mental acceptance or your emotional receptivity to that particular experience that needs to be expanded, then it's a lot easier to be in that space of letting go, or surrender. And you know what? I was so surprised because one time I attended a discussion and a meditation, and I didn't realize even the word surrender has a very negative connotation for other people because they feel that when you surrender, you're not you're taking your power away from the experience to actually demonstrate. And it's so amazing what our perspectives can do because to us, we only surrender when we know we have done everything. Because to us, it's so important to do everything you can at the level that you have with whatever spiritual and material resources that are available to you because you're allowing higher consciousness, infinite intelligence, the universe, whatever name you would like to call it, to understand the mold that you're trying to create from the invisible level. As long as you are not making clear whatever intention that you have, it's also difficult for the universe to understand what you're trying to get across. Clarity is so important because if you are not clear about whatever experience that you would like to demonstrate in your life, you're also giving the universe this particular space where the universe will give you a variety of things so that you can specify, or because the universe actually thinks that we already have everything as far as communication and connection is concerned with the universe. As far as the higher intelligence or the universe is concerned, the universe thinks I've already given you everything. And as long as you do not specify loud and clear whatever it is that you actually want to demonstrate, you're not allowing the universe to pick up whatever it is that you're trying to demonstrate. But the art and science behind it as well is also allowing for yourself to be open to the highest possibility to demonstrate, because sometimes this is this is what we want to manifest, but the universe always has the best idea to demonstrate. So I want to give you all an example of it. Let me reach for my book. And something that I want to share with everyone. Wait a minute. It's not here. All right. A couple of years ago, because I love watches, and in one of I have plenty of dream books. I have so many. These are just two of them, but I still have more. So one of the things that I learned from Dr. Catherine Ponder and many other authors is that you need to specify to the universe what is it that you exactly want. And one of the watches that I have here is this watch. And I wasn't telling anyone what particular watch I wanted. I just had that in my dream book. And then I was just keeping my covenant. And by the way, I really encourage everyone to keep your covenant, be in partnership with your concept of Almighty or God, whatever that is. And you know what? Something that I want to to segue. I have one of the fitness coaches that I look up to, and he's also talking about God in his topics. And then one of the things that he was saying, if you want to manifest whatever particular fitness goal that you have or the girl of your dreams, if that's the thing that you'd like to manifest, you have to be in partnership with God. And this particular coach is also a millennial. And then I was thinking to myself, see, this isn't a boring topic as most people would talk about, or they feel it's just something embarrassing to talk about. At least for myself and that coach, we both agree that if you want to get your goals, you need to be connected to some form of higher power. You can't do everything on your own. So anyway, I just had to make that segue. But in that particular goals book that I have, I had this particular watch, and I would just look at the goals book that I have, but I didn't really have the how it was gonna come to pass for me. So a couple of months later, I received this gift, and it's actually way, way better than what I put in my goals book. So, and this is the watch of one of my idols in metaphysics, and that's why it makes me, every time I look at it, I feel that I'm game on for anything when we talk about metaphysics or practical mysticism. Because to me, the reason why I love watches so much, it's because it reminds me constantly how you handle the time and space that you have right now can spell the difference of your life experience, whether or not you're going to be fulfilled about how you utilize the law of sowing and reaping this second quarter, and how it's actually going to reward you. So I want to talk about the law of sowing and reaping. It's not like you have to earn your brownie points from the universe. It's not like that at all. It's just saying that whatever it is that you're radiating, even if you have silent intentions, maybe you are filled with intentions that are fulfilling and inspiring, and it makes you feel alive, or it's the complete opposite of it. You're going to attract whatever it is that you're radiating. And you know what else blew my mind about this watch? It's because I'm here in the Philippines, and I'm just thinking, you know what? I want to wear nice watches so that I can remind myself constantly that time is important. If I use it wisely, it's also going to draw to myself amazing experiences. So I had very little idea that somewhere, in some part of the globe, someone actually thought of sending me a watch of one of the best minds in metaphysics. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because there's this particular thought that we embrace. There's a particular principle, rather, in metaphysical circles, especially if you attend a lot of prosperous truth classes, as Dr. Catherine Ponder would say it. If you hear good news about someone's prayers being answered, that particular good news is actually a clue that you're about to receive your good. And it's totally contrary to what other people are saying, that when you're sharing good news, you're bragging. Because to us, it's a totally acceptable way to speed up the manifestation rate for other people, especially when people treat the good news of others as a clue that the universe is also about to bless them with something else. And I just got goosebumps right now because I had France Mouton Heavy last Saturday evening, and France was saying there's going to be a lot of change for this quarter because of the number five. And I just noticed today is May 5, 2021. And if you add the year, that's 2 plus 2 plus 1, that's another 5. So I know that that's a particular vibration in the universe. Whatever happened today, the things that actually happened that were part of the plan, it's really supposed to happen. And the things that had to be rescheduled, it's also part of the divine plan. So for some of you who are just new to metaphysics, the concept of divine order or attracting and manifesting, it can be weird initially. But as you delve more into this topic, I'm very sure that you'll be able to enjoy more of that experience. And one of the things that I also want to share to all of you is this. You know that you have the intelligence and wisdom of the entire universe working within and through you as you attract and maintain prosperity. And it's so important to actually feel it on the cellular level in your heart, because as long as you don't feel it, that the universe is actually working from within you and also through you, whatever it is that's happening to you, you think that it's working against you. And I have to admit, I still have moments in my life when I feel embarrassed by, for example, other teachers call my attention because I didn't do it as efficiently as possible, and then other people are watching. Of course, there's a part of me that's resisting, and I'm trying to justify that particular action that I did because it embarrassed me. But when I realize, when I let it go, when I let my pride and ego get out of the way, ultimately, when I retrace my steps, I know that it was actually working out for me. So I want to share with all of you. You know, one of the things that I feel very passionate about is powerlifting, weightlifting, because I think it's such an amazing sport to get into so that you can avoid injuries. So anyway, I'm training with my coach and I feel so irritated because he keeps calling my attention that my form wasn't correct and that it's gonna injure me if I keep doing it that way. So my coach is not really trained in calling people's attention in such a manner that I will be open and receptive to it. And then he's just raising his voice. And then I feel so annoyed because I keep doing it many times over, but I'm still not getting it. And I'm tired and I'm thirsty and it's so hot. And then he keeps calling my attention. And then a friend of mine who's actually a self-taught athlete in that sport gets into the space, demonstrates how it is done properly, and then this web of me getting annoyed during that time, all of a sudden my face lights up because now I get it. And it had to take another person to actually make me realize that I wasn't doing it correctly. And I just feel so embarrassed because that's a 400 square meter gym and everyone's staring at you because you're not doing it right. So, of course, I don't also look my best because I'm so annoyed that my attention has to be called many times over. But then this angel of a person walks up to me and then demonstrates it. And then I realize I was really, really wrong. So, anyway, there are so many instances. I'm very sure that it's not only for me, but so many of us where we think we're in the space where we feel such a great sense of conviction. We think we're doing it right, but in fact, we're doing it wrong. And if you just accept that you live, move, and have your being and infinite intelligence, then you're going to understand that everything is actually working out for you. Like what Dr. Master said here, you know that you have the intelligence, wisdom of the entire universe working within and through you as you attract and maintain prosperity. And to me, the right people to work with is actually part of our prosperity. Because if we're not learning the lesson correctly, we can keep doing it over and over again, and we're still not going to do it correctly. Or we think that we're doing it right. But then, if we don't adjust in the moment, then a lot of people are actually going to find you foolish for doing it. But at the same time, to me, it's also being able to realize that it's an amazing experience as you move forward and you make errors along the way because you begin to realize how much do you actually know about it in terms of your headspace, but also realizing how much do you actually know about it in terms of your instincts, because it's so different to have the information in your head and to actually execute it in terms of your instincts, because they just manifest differently. So I trust that you're able to get some value out of this hour long session of perspective. And we're going to have that amazing time with our guest, Moshe, next week. So that's all for now. And remember, put things in perspective because your perspective shapes your reality. And tomorrow, I invite everyone to tune in because I'm going to have my colleague, Rebecca Fine, to talk about her coaching system and how her coaching system can actually create more ease and grace in manifesting your intentions. Mabuhay, everyone, and have fun. Thank you, by the way, Amanda and Amani. Mabuhay again and have fun.